This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Maat van Uitert. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing pretty good. It just became nightfall here, so it's still evening a little bit here.
All right. What parts of the world are you in right now?
I am in southeast Missouri.
All right. Well, do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history.
So I have built a business from my farm in the middle of nowhere, southeast Missouri, that generates six figures and allows me to spend time with my two children who are special needs.
All right. Well, what was the inspiration for doing something like building a farm out there?
Well, we moved out here ostensibly because I have horses and we needed a place to put them, and land here is pretty cheap. So that's why we built the farm out here. Why I built the business out here is because there's no real job market here that is going to pay the bills, basically. So I wanted to eat, so I built this business.
Yeah, 1 + 1 is 2. I totally agree. So where did you move from?
We moved here from Washington, D.C.
Wow.
So about my husband was in the Army. He had just been released from active duty, and I worked for the government as well, and we just didn't want to do it anymore. It was just too much, driving, and at that point in time, it became clear that there's no real career advancement for either of us. So we just said, well, he grew up in this area, so he said, well, there's a farm for sale, let's go buy it. And I said, okay. And that's literally actually how the conversation went.
So you aren't a chicken, right? When it comes to making decisions and going to somewhere you've never been before.
Well, I had been here, but very briefly. But yeah, I'm pretty good at making decisions once I have to make the decision, or I have all the information I need to make the decision.
That's amazing. So who did you learn that from? That ability to go do it, that type of we're going to do it, and it's very courageous, I would say.
That's a really interesting question. I was really afraid of this question because I was like, well, what is he going to ask me? But this one's pretty simple, actually. I guess I would say I learned this from my father. And we have a kind of a tenuous relationship, but he, we traveled the world when I was younger. I've been out of the U.S. several times. We went to Turkey when I was, 21? And that was just before September 11th. It was just a couple months before September 11th. I never questioned whether moving here was the right decision. I drove through Canada by myself. And Canada's obviously as big as the U.S. So I drove through the maritime regions by myself. And I've just never questioned whether there was just no fear involved with it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. It's innate. You're a natural, and that's amazing. That's great. I love it. Why would you continue to be that person? Because I think with age, you start to reason things, right? You start to, like when we made our trip, it's been almost a year, and I'm like, what was that guy thinking, right? So, with age, there's a type of reasoning that comes. But why would you continue to be that courageous individual nevertheless?
Honestly, because I don't think that what's the worst that can happen, right? And so I had this exact same conversation with somebody earlier today, one of my marketing people that I just hired, and I said to her, look, I just wake up in the morning and I just decide I'm going to go do something. So I woke up one morning and said, I'm going to build a business that sells herbal products for pet chickens. And then one day recently, I woke up and I said, I'm going to start a line of spices for people who love barbecue. And I figure, we have the infrastructure to perform these things. What is the worst that could happen?
That's amazing. Now tell us about this FrugalChicken.com. Tell us what's going on there, please.
Yeah, that is one of my websites. We own several websites. That's one of them. And it's the frugalchicken.com is the URL. The brand is called Pampered Chicken Mama. The reason why there's sort of a brand disconnect there is because when I built the website, I built it under the Frugal Chicken name. And then we decided to rebrand as Pampered Chicken Mama because it better met our market, what our ideal customer was like and all that kind of stuff. But we'd built up such good search engine optimization value that it didn't make sense to switch the URLs. But so I just wanted to explain the disconnect there just quickly. Anyways, what this brand is it is a website that teaches people how to raise pet chickens for companionship and for fresh organic eggs. You might know this. Some people know, some people don't. But pet chickens are becoming more and more popular in the United States, specifically because people are becoming concerned about the animal welfare issues regarding the egg industry, and also just a general lack of trust with the food chain in general. They just want to make sure that the eggs that they get are fresh, they're organic, they're healthy, and the animals are treated humanely. So my website teaches people how to do that.
It's beautiful as well. Your website is beautiful. Pampered Chicken Mama. Love it, love it, love it. And I was only in there for a couple of seconds, right? Well, probably not a couple of seconds. Probably like 2 minutes and 20 seconds, actually, because I looked at duck pen plans for under $20. I think is the one I looked at. Yeah, super cool. Like, it was fun looking at you. I love the bloopers at the end as well. Love that.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to include those.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
So the one thing I've done consistently that I feel is really relevant is learn about history. I'm really into like medieval and Tudor history. And what's interesting in history of military leaders, like Napoleon, for example, and the way that I think is relevant to this conversation is that I've learned how to be a better leader, and I've kind of like learned how is it that these people who are people, right, get to these positions of extreme height and extreme power. And so I've tried to like learn from that and apply that to my own business to be a better leader.
How does it make you feel, Matt, when you look back from now to then? How does it make you feel to see what you've accomplished?
Empowered and secure. When we worked for the government, there was really no room for advancement, and you're really sort of at the mercy of another person to make a decision on your behalf. When you have your own business, when you've built something like this, you're no longer really dependent on somebody else to make a decision for you. The sky's sort of the limit in terms of earning potential. And yeah, there's risks, but if you've built your life in a way that doesn't have a whole lot of overhead, the risks, in my opinion, are pretty minimal.
Totally agree. Love it. Amazing audience. Again, you're hearing it live from Maat van Uitert. Maat van Uitert. Yeah. So what do people call you for short? Do they just say Maat, or do you get Matt a lot?
I do get Matt a lot. I get Matt and I get Mr. Van Uitert. I'm like, there is literally no Mr. Van Uitert in existence because both my father, and my brother are Dr. Van Uitert. Except maybe my nephew might be Mr. Van Uitert. But yes, I do get Matt a lot. I actually prefer that people ask me how to pronounce my name than just sort of wing it.
Yeah. Well, you could imagine how I feel with Angel, right? Like I get Engel and all sorts of things. So that's why I'm so passionate about saying individual's name. I know how it feels. It doesn't feel too good sometimes. Yeah. All right, man, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Matt, what's your earliest childhood memory?
So this is a little bit of a difficult question, but to be perfectly honest, we're all being honest here tonight, right? My earliest childhood memory is actually being absolutely terrified of this ridiculous poster my father had of, I guess he still has it, I don't know, of a sarcophagus.
Ooh.
To ancient Egyptian history, right? And I don't know why he has this poster because It is the most frightening thing. Even as an adult, like I probably would be pretty freaked out by it, because these sarcophagi, they have like these big eyes. It was just sort of like the cultural way that they built these things.
Yeah.
So as a child, it absolutely terrified me.
Why do you think it's so clear though? Like, why do you think that particular memory sticks out?
The only thing I can come up with is that I was really, really, really afraid of it. So maybe like the heightened emotion of what sticks in my memory. I've also spent a lot of time kind of going, well, what is really my earliest memory? And unfortunately, I can't get any further back than that one. So
How old
there it
were
is.
you? Average age, how old were you?
I think I was like 4.
All right. How do you see connecting to who you are today, though? And you specifically spoke about the individuals that you read about and study about in history.
I'm not 100% certain how being afraid of a poster of a sarcophagus sort of connects to me today, except that maybe you have to learn to conquer that fear very young. Like if you want to walk by the poster, you have to learn how to like conquer that fear, right? So maybe in some way that's how it connects to who I am today, and just learning about history and all these great historical people.
Yeah, that's beautiful, the way you said that, because I do not think having courage is the absence of fear, but understanding what to do when you face fear. To me, that's what it feels like. Like it's there. It's just the only difference is the decision that I make seems courageous to do or not do at that specific time is the measurement. Would you agree with that?
I would actually. I can't say specifics at this point, but I can tell you that about 3 years ago, there was a situation that happened here on the farm where I had to make the decision of how to react. So you can react in fear, or you can say, okay, this is the situation, and let's just take this thing head on.
Yeah.
And so
It's that.
I made a decision to take the thing head on, obviously. Yeah. And it was transformative in that way. So I would say, yeah, I would agree with you.
I have one quick question that I'd like to add in here. You said you had 2 special needs children. How has moving to the farm impacted them as per when they were in the city?
So when we moved here, actually, they were pretty young. My daughter actually hadn't even been born yet.
Okay.
And my son was 18 months. There's like 16 months between my kids.
Okay.
So it's really actually kind of hard to say, but I would say that in terms of they both have autism, and they're both partially verbal. In terms of that, we've actually been able to access really good, therapists for them and that kind of stuff. The resources are very limited. And so that's like one thing that's impacted us, but I don't think it's really impacted us too much differently than cities. It's just that there's only like one guy you can take them to, Yeah. In terms of the school system, it's kind of hard to say again because they're so young. So
yeah, I would think like the naturistic aspect of their lives would create some space for creativity for them, though, if that's their window. I was just wondering about that.
I think the fact that it's a less pressured environment, and that's one of the reasons I built this business, is to spend time with them and to be able to care for them. I think the fact that it's a less pressured environment in terms of need to be at work and that kind of thing gives us the space to help them discover who they are and to help them nurture those aspects of their personality that can serve them better in the future.
Yeah. I don't know you and I like you already.
Thank you.
All right, Maat, my apologies. Let's switch gears for a moment, but not before I ask you, what was your favorite song when you were 12 years old?
So I actually don't remember my favorite song when I was 12, unfortunately. So when I answered that question, I just said Santeria because it's been my favorite song for like 20 years now.
Sweet.
So
All right.
Longer than that. I want to say 25 years.
All right.
Been a long time.
All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly. Are you ready, Matt?
Yes.
Have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes, I am.
Do you have children? 2.
Yes, I do. Too.
Do you believe in God?
I believe in something like a God.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
No.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Not intentionally. I fall asleep to the TV.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
It's more than 8.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Maat van Uitert, what would you say that is?
There's a Latin Latin phrase that is pronounced, and forgive me. Hopefully, the Vatican will come knocking at my door. I don't speak Latin, so if I mispronounce it, my apologies. Sui generis, and basically what it means is different from all other people or things. So unique, and so I like to think of that as my own unique real statement.
Love it. Well, my friend, this has been such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Just go out there and build your business. Don't be afraid to do it, and you will find out that it is one of the best decisions you've ever made. And if you want to keep up with me, you can go to teammaat.com. That's TEAMMAAT.com.
Love it. Maat, again, great pleasure. Thanks for passing by. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.